I have yet to even burn through 2 tanks of gas. And this thing's been on jack stands for months. But yet, the mods are already piling up on the project shelf. Guys, I've already made this episode, but I'm adding this little part at the end to put at the beginning. Because I want to do a giveaway, man. Some time ago, we hit 300 subs on the channel, and 300 is a freaking awesome number for, 300Z. So I want to give away some extra stuff that I've got lying around, and I have a set of black leather with red stitching, e-brake, and shift boots, and I want to give them away to one of you. All I need you to do is leave a comment down below on what kind of car you drive. And if you have a channel or an Instagram, give me your information on that. I'll come check you out. We're going to let that go for 1 week from the date that this video posts. And at the end of that week, one of you guys who's left a comment talking about what you drive, I'll pick one of you guys at random, contact you, and yeah, you can win these 2 little things. Because I really want to give them away, man, and just celebrate the community that we've got going. Anyway, enjoy the rest of the video. Version 1 is done and in the bag, and it's time to go ahead and start concentrating on version 2. When you have the means, always keep your eye on those deals, because those deals sometimes are too hard to pass up. Even if you can't install those parts for months, go ahead and get them and have them on the shelf. And we're going to talk about some of the stuff that's been piling up. But first, I want to talk about what I have been up to, because guys, it's been amazing and incredible. Look at this. Oh snap. No more dent. It's dirty. But guys, the dent in the fender is gone, and this thing is fully back together. Another thing that we finished up is right inside here. Ended up getting the pipe welded. Fantastic, super. And I also wanted to show off this. I actually cut a piece off of the VG. There's a tube that kind of runs along the side of the engine. I think it's actually on that side of the engine. That's what I actually used here. This plastic ring is that ring the wiring loom would connect on. The exact right size for this sensor. And one other thing, and I sent this out on Instagram because I'm telling you guys, I am so super stoked about it. Check this out. That's right, the side engine covers are on the car. And you might be saying to yourself, yeah, so what, BC? Like, why is that a big deal? It's a big deal because it means that the entire swap, all the fabrication, all the installation, all the extra piping and the oil cooler and all the other things that we had to shove into the corners of this car did not change the whole space and time orientation of the original VG setups. I didn't have to modify these covers. They're not going to rub on the tires. So everything is exactly how it needs to be. I'm really stoked about that because it just means that just taking time, not trying to take shortcuts, really kind of planning out and figuring and really being mindful of the space that we had to work with and the space that we need to stay within. It all ended up coming out. These covers haven't been on since the thing still had a VG in it, so this is the first time, and it's exciting. It's exciting stuff, guys. Now I don't have to worry about dirt and rain and other crap spitting off the tire into the backside of all this stuff. Our fuse box is totally covered. The corners of the car are now way more secure and good to go. One other thing I noticed, this was actually touching on the hood. You could see right there. And so all I did was just move this slightly forward in orientation, and it's clearing it just fine. No other issues with that. Enough about the engine and everything going on here. Let me take you inside the car and show you what I've been working on. It's late in the day and light is currently at a premium, but I just wanted to kind of show you the inside because, guys, I have cleaned the mess out of it. And you will see all the seats have been removed. It's because I have been hard at work redoing the leather and everything inside the car, man. Took some time to actually detail and vacuum everything in here, and man, I cannot believe just how incredibly fresh everything looks inside here. Check out this new steering wheel, man. Oh, armrests, center console. Oh man. And the seats are still out for good reason. So I spent this entire weekend sitting in my living room reskinning the seats. I've never actually watched Stranger Things, and I started from the very beginning and got all the way through both seasons in the time it took me to reskin all my seats. So how many hours of that is like, what, 20 hours that I spent working on my interior? My hands are cramped, they're tired, and I'm just glad to be done. But the reason why I haven't put the seats back in yet, because I want to get started on the fuel system setup upgrade, and the first thing to do with that is the fuel pump controller. Here is my brand new fuel pump controller. Now, brand new to me. I actually bought this secondhand from a guy on twinturbo.net. Thank you very much again for the amazing deal. I appreciate it. And this is for a twin turbo. In the 2+2, the fuel pump controller actually exists inside this interior panel. You have to take this panel off. It's sitting right here. It's too easy to replace. So you're probably thinking, well, why don't you have all that apart and why aren't we switching it out? There's a slight problem with that. So the whole reason to switch out the fuel pump controller is because the fuel pump controller is responsible for the actual speed of the fuel pump itself. And if you remember previous times when we've been talking together and you could hear the whining of my fuel pump, that's because I'm using a non-turbo fuel pump controller, but I'm using a twin turbo pump. Now the twin turbo pump can actually run at, I think it's 3 speeds, and the non-turbo pump runs at 2 speeds, or at least that's what the controller does. The controller does that through its like computer technology and varying the resistance on it to ground more or less the voltage going to the fuel pump. And that's what controls the speed. So when you're wide open throttle, it's giving it more, and when you're not, it's giving it less, okay? It's just so it doesn't have to overwork. So the plan all along was, now that I have a twin turbo fuel pump in here, I want to put a twin turbo fuel pump controller. But if you've ever done this before, or you're looking at swapping out the fuel pump system on a non-turbo Z, you need to know this. It's all about the purple wire. On the plug that connects to the fuel pump controller, there's one pin that has a purple wire. And that purple wire runs from the fuel pump controller to another connection near the fuse box, which it then ties into the body harness. From the body harness, it runs to the front of the Z in the corner where the relay box is, and that's where it has another connection to the engine harness. And then it runs through the engine harness eventually to get back to the ECU. Now, it's a purple wire the entire time, so from pin 35 of the 300ZX ECU, there's a purple wire that leads to the front corner here, to the body harness there, to the fuel pump controller. So that's the whole routing. But here's the issue. On the non-turbos, they never ran that purple wire through all 3 harnesses of the car. They only ran it on the one from the fuel pump controller to the body harness near the fuse box. The problem now is that in a non-turbo Z, that purple wire doesn't even exist in the car. It's not even pinned into the plugs going from the fuse box to the relay box, and it doesn't exist in a non-turbo engine harness. If you were just doing a non-turbo to twin turbo swap, you would have a twin turbo engine harness, or maybe you modified your non-turbo engine harness. But if you had a twin turbo engine harness, that purple wire would exist, and it would lead all the way up to the plug here in the front of the car. But you're still gonna miss the wire that goes from the relay box in the front to the fuse box inside the car. That purple wire does not exist. So you have to patch that piece in. Now, because everything on my car is tucked and deleted and all that stuff, the plug in question is this brown plug right here. Brown, reddish brown, whatever you want to call it. This would also be normally located up here when the fuse box is hanging out of here, but that plug right there is where that purple wire is going that direction and leading into where the fuse box is. I was going to come and I was going to go ahead and run that new wire, and then I thought, wait a second, I've got a swapped engine harness from Wiring Specialties that goes to a Skyline ECU. Does the purple wire exist in that? And you know what? The answer is no, it does not. So verifying here at this plug, it does not exist going to the Haltech ECU, and it does not exist going into the car. That means that if I want to put a twin turbo fuel pump controller in this car, not only do I have to run, basically I have to run a wire directly from the fuel pump controller to the Haltech ECU. And unfortunately, it's not the same pin between 300ZX and Skyline ECU. On the 300ZX, it's pin 35. On the Skyline ECU, I think it's pin number 102, maybe pin number 104. Long story short, I'm gonna have to do way more research before I update that. It's easy to take the back seats out, so I'm just gonna go ahead and start putting my interior back in, and at a later time, we're gonna get that. Does not doing this mod affect me using bigger injectors or anything like that? Nope, it sure doesn't, and that's what we're talking about next. So this shelf right here represents the future. This is the future of the RBZ. Everything that sits on here, fuel pump controller, I think I got, key blank, all polyurethane bushings for the entire car, which if you've ever done that, you know that you never want to do it again. And I've already done it once in my life, and I really don't want to do it again, hence the full box. I just got this box in the mail, which we'll talk about in just a second. I still got one armrest to put in simply because it's too close to the GTR and I need to pull the car out before I can do that. First filter for the first oil change, all kinds of good stuff. But this box just came in the mail today, man. If you guys remember, the dual catch can setup, that is also from Radium Engineering. So what is inside this box from Radium? It is... oh, man. Oh, snap. My new fuel rail, dude. A Radium Engineering fuel rail. And I got the little connections that are going to go on it, and a plug for the backside, and a fuel pressure gauge. And the fuel pressure gauge will actually be mounted directly to the rail, so we'll be able to just look in the engine bay. You'll see the gauge right around this orientation, looking kind of up at us, and it'll be awesome, dude. Be able to like see the fuel pressure when you're in the engine bay actually doing troubleshooting. I'm not in a rush to install this in this exact moment because I want to go ahead and upgrade my fuel injectors while I'm at it. I'm looking at getting some Deutschwerks injectors, I think, 800cc. We're just going to go ahead and go to 800. It's just going to be an easy freaking switch inside the Haltech ECU. Shouldn't require any additional mapping until we start to want to like actually change our horsepower value. So that is the future, man. Fuel system upgrade. Now that we've talked about the fuel pump controller, we talked about the interior, all the seats are in my house. My wife wants them out of the living room and into the car. I want it into the car. The car is back together. It's not leaking. The ground is super dry. It's been a week. I'm so freaking pumped. We're gonna get the seats back in this thing and fire up, and let's go do something fun, man, for real. So I'm about to put the seats in the car. The video's changed because my camera broke, so now I'm on my phone. But check this out, man. Before I put them in, I want you guys to get a really good look at them. Here are the new seats, man. And here's an old seat just to compare. Oh man, such a crazy awesome difference. It's gonna look so good once it's all in. This one, the driver's seat, man, oh my gosh, it's so much heavier, but when I put all the motors back together, I think one side might be slightly off. So I'm gonna need to take the drivetrain of the motors apart and readjust it so that thing levels out, but yeah, once I get these things in, we're gonna be golden grams. All right, too easy of an issue. So this was actually like up, so in this orientation, this one is further down. This is controlling the tilt up and down of the bottom cushion. Underneath here, you can see where the motor is here and the motor's drive shaft that goes into this spline. I just put it, this part actually slides back and forth, so it connects to this spline here. I had this pushed up here before I got on the spline. Now I need to get it in the right orientation. I got a tape measure. I need to measure the distance here and here, make sure it's all even. Put this transmission piece back together. Yeah, good to go. Too easy. So it's been a couple days since the last clip, and 3 big things have happened since that time. One, the Z's interior is back inside it, and you can see I am standing in the garage queen's normal spot because she's actually outside. I took her to work today, man, and oh my gosh, dude, I can't wait to show you this leather. It feels so nice, and it smells so good. Number 2, Mrs. BC's 300Z gave me a cold, so I'm sick. I haven't been feeling too hot. I'm hanging in there. I'm feeling better than I have in the last couple days, but needless to say, I'm not going to be doing too much more in this video. And number 3, I chanced into a little chunk of change that came out of a very unexpected place and went ahead and put in the order on those 800cc injectors. So those things should be in the mail anytime, and we'll go ahead and do that fuel upgrade. So pretty stoked and excited about that. But enough blabbering. Let's go check out the RBZ. Oh yeah, man. And I'm still on the cell phone camera because it turns out my camera that I normally use, actually something is super malfunctioned with the lens. So yeah, it's totally broke. But dudes, check this out, man. Oh, guys, it looks so good. Interior Innovations is where I got the seat skins, and I am super excited. I actually also, like I said, I got the center console. I still haven't done this side because I will do it now that it's out in the driveway and I've got real space. Steering wheel. Oh yeah, let's look at that back again, man. Ugh. Looks so good. Taking a look at it from back here so you can see the back of the seats. Normally I think it's just the passenger side that has a pocket, but these things are made universally, so they each have a pocket. I gotta put my floor mats back in, but man, I am super stoked and super pumped. And another thing, while I was cleaning out my garage, I actually found this rear tonneau cover, and originally this thing was split, but you can see here, I bought some upholstery thread, and I got a needle out, and I just spent a couple hours just stitching it all the way across. So now I've got a perfectly restored tonneau cover, and that's all fine and dandy. And I also went ahead and grabbed this amp out of a storage that I've got. This thing will actually sit perfectly mounted to the back of the seat here, and it won't touch the crossmember bar, and it will be underneath the tonneau cover rail, so it'll be nice and tucked in, very secure, very awesome. But guys, super excited at the way this thing turned out. She's extremely dirty. Disgustingly dirty, man. But I gotta get her cleaned up because this weekend there is actually a Toys for Tots show and shine going on Island. So that is where I'm gonna be. Actually, by the time you're seeing this, that will have already happened. So look for some tweets and stuff about it, because it'll have been a good time, and I'll have won first place. I don't know. Who knows, man? But anyway, guys, she's back out. She's on the streets. She's making it happen. Fresh new black leather interior. So sick, so fine. Yeah. So guys, like I said, I'm still feeling pretty under the weather. And that's all I'm gonna have for you today. I don't know when these injectors are gonna come in, but the next time we get together, we're probably gonna do some more work on the GTR, man. I haven't really touched it much. I need to get these valve covers from this guy, get all that stuff installed, finish up the fuel system, and it'll be back in business. I think I also just need to clean up a little bit of the wiring on the electrical fan, and then this thing can move on and go do great things on the island of Oahu. But yeah, really looking forward to that. Thanks again for watching. As always, spread the love, leave some comments down below, let me know what you're working on. I'm always interested to know what other people are working on. I will definitely come and check you out. Again, thanks guys, stay tuned for more on the GTR and the RBZ as we take it to Mark II. That's all I've got for now. Ciao a tutti and aloha, bye bye.